You gotta appreciate a team that's just able to kind of farm up good tags, find their knocks, right? And so really showing you the temperament, right? A team that has been in finals before.
Looking off in the distance. Avenger Sniper won the actual fight for Wonky Land, but they're having some trouble gaining some traction from there. A couple of reboots, and Sniper Dude still by himself. Across the map, Slips, Toronto. Decent performance from Toronto with Slips in game 1. 9th place overall with 8 elims, put them 6th place on the actual leaderboard. And if you're looking at consistency, you know, that was actually 5th place because Bucky and Zen have already qualified. So they just have to stay within this point threshold. And with the zone pulling north, the team in front of them, this is not going to be an easy game for Toronto and Slips to make it through.
Good point, man. Having 50 points, you got a huge, I'd say 2 feet in the room, not a foot in the door. You're standing in the room right now because they're on their way. You know, for some, you have the pressure of actually having good points for the first time in this type of setting. It could be an extra bit of stress that actually breaks you. Working Sniper Dude in the same situation. We'll talk about teams that are actually looking really good after game 1 here. 68 points for this team. Not bad. And they have the Wonky Land under control right now. There is a team there. But I'd probably assume that they have the damage they need. So we'll see if they actually force this fight.
It's going to be a thin line that they're going up against. Left Team Wagers were actually the team that took down Avenger after the reboot. And you can kind of see they're not necessarily fighting for the points. That's bonus, but it's that mending machine over at Wonky Land. You can either get the patch up or the actual med kits to extend your stay in the actual storm, which allows you to kind of miss out on this kind of chaotic portion of the game, which is why we see so many teams last season and this season stay as long as they have in the actual zone. Up until I think it's zone 5, it is going to be a 1 tick, then it goes to 2, and then it goes to a 5 tick. And Storm Surge doesn't really even give you the warning until 500 damage. And at 600 damage, that's when you actually start to take the sickness. So for the early portions of the game, Monster, it's a very viable strategy.
You have to appreciate the lengths of which pros find new ways every season, regardless of the loot pool changes, on how to extend their lives in the storm for longer and longer. The Freon in Dragon, we're doing the opposite of that. Early positioning here is going to play to their advantage. However, no elims, so this is super important. They land these tags on teams moving by and might even have to overdrive their games.
This end game, I'm not going to say it's starting to scare me, but you can see the waterfall, mountain ranges, hills, dips, dives. So if you're not prepared for a possible end game that can go up and down, a lot of these mountains start to reserve, and think about your material count and resources overall. It could get chaotic, but you see 143 above for the Tick and Mafia. 143, it's above the damage threshold, so you know you're not going to take damage, but it's only zone 4, so that threshold is going to continue to increase. So for the Tick and Mafia, you just got to hope 143 is an...
Yeah, this can go either way, but it is not going to be enough to kind of go the distance. We'll see which of these guys ended up cracking first under pressure. Who really, amongst all these duos, needs the damage? They'll be the first to get lobby focused. Day and Scuffy though on the move. But they don't want to have anything to do with these two teams that are trailing behind them right now. Oh yeah, it's Rhodes here. Just picked up his teammate. Oh no, Jesus is having a really hard time with this. He just got rebooted, all of them tagged up. Scuffy's lets his guard down, and that duo from behind insta knocks him right now. And there was, oh no, he was chilling in the bush there, Jacob.
Yeah, this is a dramatic turn of events for Day and Scuffy. They were above the damage threshold. They thought they could take advantage of the fresh reboot. Unfortunately enough, City is just hiding in that bush, gets good damage onto one, and now it's essentially going to be a fight for the reboot. Day versus City here, who's only 3 above the damage threshold, 57 above. So this is going to be one of those fights where even if you win, you can find yourself below the damage threshold. First shot's going to go to City. Day fires back. He has a little bit of a lead over the control, but the third-party shots come in. The elimination goes to Day. Luckily, he's going to grant him that siphon to allow him to stay just a little bit longer in the storm because we know he needs the reboot.
Sometimes you need a little bit of luck. With the Storm getting the finish off, him getting the damage credit, the siphon kicks in. It just doesn't get better than that. And just like that, just be able to get that reboot back in here and now, but it could be risky too, Mike. Andrew, last time we was here, we obviously saw them just dumping the body up top in the box of Tabney, and we haven't quite left this spot here. They're 800 damage above the threshold, so things have seemingly gone very well for them.
Yeah, we're going to see them kind of use those splashes, get the HP. They have their mending machine that they try to use for a long time. And these tricks right here, they're using the overdrive, getting the effect from the actual shockwave grenade, and then they're shooting the blob, which launches them so far away. And while you see the benefits of Sandy Strip for a team like Ritual and Agers, but as soon as they make it in towards the zone, they become the chosen team. Multiple others start to fire off in this direction, but they make it in on the edge. The pressure slows down, so for now, they're going to be A-okay because they pulled zone as well.
Dang, zone landing right on top of them is perfect. And they'll be able to fish for eliminations. They already know there's all types of teams, not only, of course, in front of them, but the few that were behind them as well. So what a key position to be in, and I don't blame them for going straight into that metal box here. So it seems like everything is just starting to stack into their favor here now, and it's the type of spot they want to be in, too. They seem to have enjoyed the low ground coming out of game one.
If you kind of look at it from overhead, there are teams around them, but there's nobody that they immediately need to be worried about. Even though we haven't seen them build up and elevate their position, that's just because they're already in zone. We did see Day go down in the distance. Storm Surge, if you're not planning accordingly, it does start to dictate your game plan. You fall below, especially at a time like this. You almost have to fight the nearest team, and that's why you're seeing Curly Rise proactive. They already have their spot in zone, so they're just using their position here to try to get damage on any team shockwaving in.
They're just waiting for the Rangers team to open that box. Seems like they have a little sense that danger might be nearby, so not trying to move too soon. Looking around for tags. Oh no, I was going to say, someone that might be looking to take a fight, but not without the side duo here, so it's going to be a very rough spot to be in for any single player. Let alone a solo right now. Someone just got eliminated for the Storm Surge just right as all that's going on.
Nice try for him to try to get the loop, but you're still below the damage threshold. Timing is just not on your side. With no extra heals, 132, almost half of elimination here. Just hoping that somebody makes a mistake that he could try to beam, but now falling 300 below. He has to get in the box. Good damage onto one. Almost gets the knock onto JoJo, but it's not going to last. A few seconds. Storm Surge activates and he goes down. You got to give him the valiant effort for that one.
That was crazy, but talk about unfortunate with JoJo and Oxygen. Just the full wrap up, too. That timing couldn't have been worse if the Fresh Metal edit comes through. They were changing layers. I'm back with Virgil and Shadow here. 300 damage above the threshold. No elims for this team, but Trouble in Paradise either. They're chopping their way through these enemy builds here, trying to see if there was any danger lurking nearby. Trying to move their way into the storm here early now. Seemingly safe here for the opponent. Edit. No shot though from the follow-up. Meanwhile, Curly seems to be controlling a bit of that mid to high ground to be here. We'll see if they end up being the first team going up for the top. Ritual's POV down 3 elims right now. Again, another team that has had just quite the phenomenal performance here in game 2.
Got my wow, just seeing Preston get beamed right there, just kind of getting caught off guard. Now Blake as well going in for the loop. He is below the damage threshold, so maybe can kind of use a fight, but against Curly, against Rise, it may not be the duo I'd want to go against, especially now the third-party shots are coming in from behind. It does still settle for this moment for Blake. He is above the damage threshold, but he is by himself as a solo in 26th place, or 26 teams, I should say, still up. So one more team needs to go down. Placement points will start to set in, with the meat of those placement points coming inside of the top 10.
Big tag right there, the finish as well. great refresh there in this endgame here. And talk about that terrain, right? We saw a little bit of that dangerous terrain before, and this is coming up and over that vertical mountain lip there. So giving a bit of an extra problem to go ahead and deal with. And look at this, it's allowing a lot of teams to start positioning super high up now. So this is not looking like your traditional endgame. Looks like a Zone War endgame, to be honest, off the layers here. Hobby in a minute, though, have full control of the situation. Calypso's going to go and get knocked there. But think about possibly jumping in for the finish, the refresh. Nope, they don't want to give it away. Here comes the choke point from both sides, both angles. Calypso does not get picked up the save by his teammate. There goes the full finish. Close, but no cigar. Start looking up top. It's the Tickin' Mafia. They're getting a lot of showtime here today.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mafia, no. I'm not sure what happened to him. Probably got chopped. I don't see that one out later, but the Tick, there's no use complaining about it. He has to figure out what he's going to do here as a solo. Top 23, so many points left on the board. So if you're going to have a big game, it's on your shoulders as an individual. And you said it before in that last zone, nobody is really claiming that high ground just yet. Nobody is solidifying as the team to beat up above, but QK, Expo, they're trying to be the ones. They shockwave through the sky. They see nobody claiming it as their own. They said, you know what? We'll take it for ourselves.
I like what they do, getting immediately to the pressure here as well for the other teams on the mid layers. Exactly how they got to play it. You know what? I want to keep eyes on the Tick as well. This is his time to shine here. That game one, like we talked about, there's a few teams that outperformed, right, as they're possibly making their first finals here up ahead. So for them to have a position and opportunity, winning clutch is going to be super important. But Ager's Ritual using that shockwave, not to rotate, but again to give themselves that unlimited stamina here for the rotate. Probably watching it play out there. Pizza coming into hand and going to be the HP heals they need, but it seems like they're going to be having to fight for a siphon here now. Really into materials for Aegis and Rituals. There goes the edit there, Jacob, and the choke point comes through, and of course, leave it to Aegis to bind it.
Yeah, running dangerously low on materials. They know if they're going to make it through the hard portion of this game, top 17 into the top 8 or even better, they're going to need resources. But now both of them missing a huge chunk of HP, all of their shield, but they're still fighting for it. Agers lands a big shot, unable to get the elimination yet. Aminish and Hobby are taking high ground while all this is going down. Agers can't seem to find his way back to Ritual. So now Ritual is going to be left by himself. Curly and Rise, they're getting near that same sort of situation because both of them might be out of builds.
Yeah, Curly and Rise were actually the disruptors to the high ground. Aminish and Hobby took full advantage of that distraction, and now they are up here with no problems. And look, Curly's not done yet. He finds an Elim. It was at the expense of Rise, but it's all good. He's got the pizza to stay alive in the game as well here and now. And it's almost a top 5 situation, so plenty of consistency coming out here for Curly now. Who's left in the game, though? Noisy, Neo still here. Creon and Blake are still also kind of in the mix, but it is not looking good for them as Aminish and Hobby have just so much going in their favor here.
Yeah, even Blake running around as a solo. Him and Curly, the only solos left in this lobby. That's not going to slow him down. Even Ritual is trying to get into the mix. Aminish using so many of his heals with him and Hobby on the high ground. They have the luxury to do it. But we're going to jump on board Curly. 98 points. Him and Rise are starting to build that momentum. You see the win condition in the back pocket. Multiple chug-chugs. He went through the pizza. He's just trying to last long enough to get these points as Hobby and Aminish are dropping down. They know the time has come. Over towards Sandy's strip. They're trying to get these eliminations. They're trying to force everybody down low to clash as we get into the final 2v2.
This is it. Noisy and Neo, 9 elims, possibly pushing for 10 or 11 here and now, but this building is just buying them so much time now. You couldn't call a stronger endgame, a weirder endgame for both teams. And look, they both have mats as well, so this is going to go the distance. But if you're Minish and Hobby, this is not what you want at all, Jacob. They don't have heals to really go the further, but Noisy and Neo try to force the fight here up and over to the side. And Minish goes up just to get that visual from up top. Great tag so far, and this is really going any way right now.
Yeah, he does a pre-shockwave to make sure Noisy and Neo can't shockwave up. He has the mythic, so one pump is around any one of these corners, but Minish is making sure to keep his distance, letting Hobby drop down low, play the disruptor, but the elimination comes through.